Hi there my friends, in this video training I will share with you guys the impact of iOS 14.5 on paid advertising such as on the Google AdWords platform as well as on the Facebook platform. Now why is this iOS 14.5 update so important to us as paid advertisers? Let me share with you my particular screen over here. Alright. Now I got this article from vox.com, as you can see over here, vox.com. Alright, so iOS 14.5 update has already been effective rolled out since end of April. So let's take a look into the impact. Alright, so what is the difference over here? Now the biggest difference most people will see with the introduction of the new privacy tool called the App Tracking Transparency is actually a pop-up that appears when you try to open an app that tracks you. Alright, now in the past they don't have this kind of pop-up. So in order to actually limit tracking, you actually have to dig deep into the settings of the iOS platform. But however, with this particular pop-up now, it actually makes users pretty easy in order to allow or disallow permissions to be tracked. So in order to understand the impact of iOS 14.5 update on advertisers like us, well, first and foremost, we need to actually understand what is the percentage of iOS users in different countries with specific focus on the big five. Alright, or we call it the top 5 English-speaking country. So I did some research over here, and let's take a look into one by one. Alright, this is the mobile operating system market share in the United States based on April 2021, which is pretty update. So as you can see over here, close to 60% of users are actually iOS users. That's for the United States. This is for the United Kingdom, same date range. Alright, about 50%. Canada, more than 50%. Australia, similar to Canada, also more than 50%. And finally, New Zealand. So as you can see over here, for the big five, top 5 English-speaking countries, USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, generally we're talking about more than 50% of the country population are on iOS platform. Alright. So after the iOS 14.5 update, so what exactly is the percentage of the opt-in versus opt-out ratio? All right. Incidentally, I happened to come across an interesting YouTube video, which actually managed to get some data. Let me open up the screen for you. Right now, this is for USA daily opt-in rate after the iOS 14.5 launch. Okay, so this is a pretty updated data. So as we can see over here, according to sources, just barely 4 to 5% of users are saying yes, they allow the app to actually track them. Now this is definitely something very worrisome for paid advertisers like us, and especially in terms of the tech giant companies as well. Okay, so if let's say the US daily opt-in rate is approximately 4 to 5%, now, generally, I would expect that the other top 4 English-speaking countries would hover around the same statistics. All right, so I don't expect to see something whereby the top 4 countries are having like 50% opt-in rate or even 60, 70% opt-in rate. That would literally be quite impossible because there's subsequently another statistics that status over here. All right, let me show you guys. Okay, so what is interesting is in other places, all right, so they track about worldwide, so instead of the other top 4. So let me just say, other than USA, we are looking at about 11 to about 15% opt-in rate. So all this opt-in rate will definitely affect paid advertisers. All right, so let me share with you guys what is the difference between the two main paid advertising platforms that most advertisers are using, which is Facebook ads and Google AdWords. All right. Now let me open up these PowerPoint slides for you guys to see. Now for Facebook ads, basically advertisers are charged based on impressions, but for Google ads, okay, usually we are being charged based on clicks. Now for Facebook ads, the way they target the audience is actually based on interest, all right, interest group, all right, with the help of Facebook pixels. Now for Google ads, interestingly, this is actually the major difference between the two platforms. For Google Ads, we are actually searching the audience based on buyer's intent or on certain research keywords that the audience actually input themselves on the Google platform or the YouTube platform. Now, the most lucrative part of paid advertisers, of paid advertising, is actually the lookalike audience on the Facebook platforms. And as for Google AdWords, it will be the remarketing tags. All right. So in these aspects, for the lookalike audience of Facebook advertising platform is definitely severely impacted. Same for the remarketing tags when it comes to Google Ads. All right. So let me run through the difference one by one. Now, what do I mean by charge based on impressions for Facebook ads? Okay, when we are talking about impressions, so what happens is when you're actually on the Facebook platform, all right, if you remember the last time that you're using Facebook ads, or rather the Facebook platforms, whenever you try to scroll up, all right, you try to scroll up on the news feed of your Facebook ads, or rather, sorry, your Facebook platform. So sometimes you'll see certain posts which are sponsored posts. So the moment you actually scroll up, even if this particular sponsored post is among one of those posts that is being scrolled up, that is considered as an impression. All right. So regardless of whether you are even clicking on the ad or not, it is considered as one impression. And advertisers will actually attempt to show these posts on your Facebook platform will actually be automatically charged by Facebook. Now, for Google Ads, the difference is advertisers are actually being charged based on clicks and not so much on impressions, right? So if I were to do a very simple Google Ad search, all right, let's say for example, let me show you guys an example here. Okay, let me pull this slide away. All right, let me open a new tab, and in this Google search, I will search for, let's say, affiliate marketing courses. Sorry, CEO courses 2021. Now you can see that there are some advertisements here. All these are Google Ad search, right? You have things like from NUS Business School, Sydney, Udemy, RF Start. Right? The moment you see all these ads, now so long as I don't click on it, the advertiser will not be charged. But let's say, for example, if I were to click on this particular ad, all right, the moment I enter into this particular landing page that advertisers want me to see, he or she will actually be charged now. All right, so I'm sorry about that. I don't know who is the advertiser here, but I'm just giving you an example here. All right. So this is an example of Google search ads. Now, sometimes when you go over to YouTube, all right, let me show you guys. You go over to YouTube, you will see certain ads here as well. See? Oh, sorry, this is ad by Google itself. Okay, let me show you one typical example. Okay, let's say this one.
Facebook and Instagram when you start your...
All right, so this is a typical advertisement by Shopify.com. Okay, so this is called a skippable in-stream ad. So for skippable in-stream ad, for the first 30 seconds, so long as I don't click on the ad, or I actually click out of the ad, okay, as you can see here.
Your online store with Shopify, the e-commerce platform that's...
Usually after the first 5 seconds, this skip ad tab will actually appear. Now let's say if I skip the ad at this point in time, all right, this particular advertiser will not be charged. But however, if I let the advertisement run, all right, and it passes the 30 seconds and I do nothing with this particular ad, I will still be charged. All right, so for Google, it is a little bit different compared to Facebook. Okay. Now, why am I using the example of both YouTube as well as Google? In case you're not aware, YouTube is actually owned by Google itself. All right, so which is why within the Google AdWords platform, we are able to place advertisements on both places such as the Google platform itself, as well as on the YouTube platform. All right. Okay, now going back to the presentation, okay, you can see that the next thing will be the interest based, which is based on Facebook pixels, but for Google Ads is based on bias intent or research. Now, what do I actually mean by that? You see, when it comes to Google, remember just now when I actually did this example, I searched for affiliate marketing courses 2021. Now, most people, when they actually search on Google for certain items, all right, it can be digital courses, it can be like, for example, best massage chairs in Singapore. All right, it can be things like this kind of search, whereby I come up with certain ads over here. Now, this is what I mean by bias intent or research. So generally, when someone actually goes to the Google platform and do some search, it's either they are researching for that particular topic or they actually have some existing bias intent. All right. So which means to say the conversion generally for Google AdWords would be higher compared to on Facebook raw search. Now, unfortunately, on Facebook, we are not able to do any form of raw search. When we do Facebook ads, we are actually targeting the interest of the person. But however, the interest of any individuals might actually change over time. So how exactly do we, or rather does Facebook track your interest? Now, in case you forgot, when we initially open up a Facebook account, okay, generally Facebook will ask us things like what are our level of interest, what areas are our interests like. It's a very short survey, all right, which generally most people actually overlook. Now, the other thing that Facebook use in terms of tracking our interests are things like the Facebook pixel. Okay, Facebook pixel is actually everywhere, honestly. Excuse me. Now, let me open this particular ad. All right, so I click on an ad. That means to say this advertiser will actually be charged now. Now, let me open up this Facebook pixel helper. As you can see here, Facebook pixel helper has access to this site. So who exactly placed this Facebook pixel here? Now, most likely is that particular advertiser, in this case will be OSIM, place the Facebook pixel on this page. All these pixel data will automatically be auto-populated within the Facebook massive database that they have. So this database will actually track what sort of pages are we actually visiting. So for example, if I keep visiting massage chairs pages, all right, Facebook will actually pick up this particular information that me as a Facebook user is actually interested in massage chair at this point in time. So let's say if I were to use an iOS device, be whether it's a mobile phone or a tablet, to do all this search, which in this case whereby only 4%, 5% of US people are actually allowing the tracking to take place, these Facebook pixels will no longer be effective anymore. All right. So meaning to say the Facebook pixels will not be able to track the existing interests of the users now. If this iOS 14.5 update persistently affects the paid advertising platform in this manner, now my humble opinion is Facebook will actually lose its attraction for paid advertisers over time. It is definitely a ripple effect that will take place. Okay, because like what I mentioned, people's interests change every time. All right, today I might be interested to search for a massage chair. Tomorrow I might be interested to search for a vacation overseas. Subsequently, I might be interested in searching for the latest, let's say the latest hi-fi system. All right. So if I don't allow these advertising platforms to track my activities on the web, whenever I'm using iOS device, there is no way Facebook or even Google can track what I am actually visiting. All right. And to make it worse, like what I mentioned, there is no way you can use a Facebook advertising platform to actually track what is my existing interest now because of the ineffectiveness of the Facebook pixel. But on Google Ads, all right, they are still able to track that currently I am searching for what I'm interested in. All right. So in a nutshell, the way I look at paid advertising for the months or even years to come, more and more advertisers will actually shift their focus from Facebook to Google Ads or other form of advertising platforms, which is various social media platforms, advertisements, like what I mentioned. Okay, so this is my personal prediction and my personal humble opinion. Now, when it comes to remarketing text as well as lookalike audience, now if Facebook pixel actually loses its effectiveness in terms of tracking the activities of the users on the iOS platform, on Apple iOS platform, so naturally it will make things very difficult to track lookalike audiences. Facebook used to be very attractive among advertisers because of its lookalike audiences. Like what I mentioned, Facebook pixels are generally everywhere on the web. Okay, because of the immense amount of advertisers and users on Facebook platforms. It makes Facebook very easy, very profitable to actually run ads on because of these lookalike audiences. Now, after the rollout of 14.5 updates, let me repeat myself. If Facebook Pixel lose the way that it's going to track users' interest, okay, and moving, or rather tracking the user's interest over time, naturally you will not be able to create an effective lookalike audience anymore. Okay, now it's the same thing for Google Ads. For Google Ads, if let's say I want to do a remarketing campaign, like people who actually visited my particular page, I want to actually remarket back these people, but they are not allowing Google Ads to actually track where they are, what they are doing. It will also affect the remarketing tags of Google Ads. Okay, so in terms of paid advertising, in a nutshell, remarketing or retargeting ads, like what I mentioned, is going to be severely affected because of this rollout of the privacy policy, okay, which is actually the iOS 14.5 update. But I believe there will be certain solutions that these technology giant companies will come up with, right, whereby it allows certain forms of effective advertising still, okay. But at this point in time, there's no specific news. But me personally, in fact, I'm shifting a lot of my focus from Facebook over to Google Ads because, like what I mentioned, even if I cannot track where you are, all right, I mean my particular audience, where you are, whether your interests have shifted, but I'm still able to track, or rather, I'm still able to effectively target you based on your search and based on your buyer's intent. So that also allows me to actually capture certain data that I wish to capture. Like for example, even if I cannot remarket most of these people, I can still actually put in certain pop-ups on my website, certain landing pages on my website, whereby I offer certain lead magnets in exchange for the email addresses of these people. So meaning to say, I'm not actually using the paid advertising platform remarketing ads or remarketing text now, all right, to actually do my own remarketing, but rather I'm trying to collect my own email addresses, right, in the attempt to actually remarket back these people. So I hope this short video training actually shares with you guys a clearer understanding of how this iOS 14.5 update is affecting and will affect paid advertising platform in time to come. Okay, and in fact, it is already affecting paid advertisers at this very moment of recording. It's just that the ripple effects are not fully being felt yet. All right, so I sincerely hope these tech giants will know what to do in order to solve these particular issues, because now we are talking about not forgetting, we are talking about iOS platform imposing these privacy updates. Now, if this privacy is actually going to be a very big issue among the top 5 speaking English countries, think about it. Would there actually be a paradigm shift from Android users or other mobile operating system users to be inclined to actually shift over to iOS? It still remains a very big question mark. All right. If this is going to be the case, if you were actually a mobile phone if you were actually a mobile phone seller, all right, whereby you're actually using Android iOS, to prevent that from happening, would you not launch your own privacy settings as well? So if that actually happens, that means to say 90%, all right, 90%, which is iOS users and Android users, are all moving into privacy settings, that actually marks the doom, or rather I would say the end of remarketing campaigns, honestly. But in terms of Google Ads, the good thing is, like what I mentioned, we can still track what is your existing target audience, buyer's intent, or what exactly are the topics they are researching on. And it's really up to you on how effective you can actually capture the data of these people who actually visited your website. Okay, So this concludes my training, and I hope you guys have gotten some value out of it. If yes, do consider subscribe to my channel, as I'll be rolling out a series of video trainings from now on, especially when it comes to running Google Ads. Okay, I'll be sharing with you things like search ads, video ads, how do you actually market these people, how do you set up your conversion text, how do you set up your conversion pixels, how do you actually plant this conversion text on various different websites, the pros and cons, and how to go around doing that. Okay guys, so take care, and I will see you again in my next video.